wages in the Mexican automotive manufacturing sector have declined since the implementation of NAFTA.
To say nothing of the devastation of Mexico's agricultural workforce,
Yes.
which has been a big motivator in immigration.
Miners in Mexico got their company to pay them for striking for 2 whole months. This win, along with several others by the union, was announced by Section 271 of the National Union of Mine, Metal, Steel, and Similar Workers of the Mexican Republic. This acronym is crazy. SNTMMSSRM, also called more simply, and I think I'm going to stick to this one, Los Mineros. That's what I'm going to call them. That win was announced at their assembly. Hearing the deal, the assembly voted to end the strike. According to Industrial, a global union federation that Los Mineros is affiliated with, the 3,000 workers of Los Mineros initiated the strike in response to a disagreement over the profit sharing for the 2023 fiscal year presented by the company. Apparently there was some accounting errors that the union was alleging. After 2 months of striking against the company, ArcelorMittal, ArcelorMittal, ArcelorMittal. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. They reached an agreement with the company that includes an audit of the company's financial practices, as well as some other really significant things. Listen to this list. An 8% raise in daily wages, equal profit sharing amounts between ArcelorMittal Mexico and ArcelorMittal Las Truchas workers, an additional payment of 60,000 Mexican pesos, $3,300 US, as an incentive for each permanent and temporary unionized worker, a social assistance payment of 17,000 pesos, $950 US, in grocery vouchers, and payment of 100% of wages for the 55 days that the strike lasted. And finally, the formation of a commission from Section 271 of the union to immediately review pending issues within the mine and plants. The company also agreed to withdraw the special procedure aimed to terminate individual and collective relations at ArcelorMittal and to refrain from retaliation against workers and the union. Additionally, the company withdrew labor and criminal lawsuits against the company and against the union and its members. Napoleon Gomez Urrutia, General Secretary of Los Mineros and Senator of the Republic, and member of Industrial's Executive Committee, celebrated the unity of Los Mineros. He praised the members of Section 271 for their fight for justice and dignity and assured that they would continue to strive for more achievements and better working conditions.
Hey, 5 seconds, just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
Finally, Industrial Base Metals Director Patrick Correa said, "We congratulate Los Mineros on this significant victory. We know it was not an easy struggle. The strike took place against a backdrop of widespread abuses in ArcelorMittal operations around the world. These violations are so serious that they have led the global union network to make approaches to the company demanding tangible changes and a commitment to workers' safety, rights, and dignity around the world. The collective voice of the ArcelorMittal Union Network, made up of affiliates from 18 countries, including Mexico, will continue to defend these fundamental principles until they are fully implemented and respected throughout the company's operations." Again, that statement was from Industrial Base Metals Director Patrick Correa. So very exciting win from Mexico in the mining sector. I mean, that's $1,000 grocery voucher, a $3,300 signing bonus, an 8% increase in wages immediately, and payment for 2 months of striking. I mean,
Love it.
that's freaking awesome.
Great victory, yeah.
Yeah, really excited to see that for those workers and, for workers around the world. The reason that companies, the reason that companies will outsource to places like Mexico is because of the low labor standards and the terrible working conditions, the low wages and things like this. So if Mexican workers are able to organize and to increase their wages, improve their working conditions, that is going to decrease the downward pressure on workers in places like Europe and America, and it will also increase the living standards for people in those communities in Mexico. Because if the people in these communities in Mexico are able to, bring in more money, bring in more investment into them personally, that's going to flow throughout the community more and actually improve working conditions and the general community for workers in Mexico. One of the real kind of misunderstandings about international labor relations is that there's an assumption that, yes, even though NAFTA, for example, and free trade generally was bad for American workers, it was good for Mexican workers. And that's just actually not true. Wages in the Mexican automotive manufacturing sector have declined since the implementation of NAFTA.
I mean, to say nothing of the devastation of Mexico's agricultural workforce,
yes,
which has been a big motivator in immigration over the last several decades.
Right. Yeah. So it's just, it's just not true, actually, that allowing international corporations with headquarters in Delaware to exploit Mexican workers, it's just not true that it's good for Mexican workers. It's obviously not true that it's good for American workers. Obviously not good for American workers. Nobody disputes that, or very few people dispute that. Some would, but very few. But most would think that it's good for Mexican workers. It is simply not the case.
Well, and to your point earlier about it's really a rising tide lifting all boats. And we see the same phenomena when unions win big raises for their members, and it raises standards across an industry or across a community, right? Other employers have to try to catch up and compete. So they raise wages, right? We talked a lot on the show about the UAW bump, right? After the big contract win, after the successful strike of the UAW last year, a lot of auto manufacturers across the country started throwing pay raises out there. Mm-hmm. Now, was it to discourage unionization? Absolutely. But that doesn't change the fact that there are Toyota workers now who are making more money. Right. And so that really, give credit to that kind of organizing and the way it can lift standards for folks. And I think the same concept works internationally. The more a rising tide lifts all boats. And so, there's a race to the bottom by corporate America and, international corporations. So it's important for workers here that workers everywhere are stronger and can win and can organize and can increase the standards, right? We don't want to see poor working standards, poor wages. We don't want to see that anywhere in the world because then that's a refuge for these poor practices. So solidarity to these workers in Mexico. Good job.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.